And we're going to bring up Bill Gilson in just
It was
1 minute.
great.
I know Bill very well through his practice in Vineland,
All nice to see you. Thanks for the invitation.
and it's been nice working with you over the years. I mean, we've had a few clients that we worked on together, and got to know you pretty well. And I'm glad. You know what? When there's certain people you hear that are running for mayor in a certain town, my ears perked up when I found out that you were running for mayor, primarily because of your character.
I'm just waiting for the punchline, Paul.
You know, and there's something to be said for a guy who gives back to his community. I know how much you give back to your community, in particular with the carnival
Well,
in Williamstown.
I got to say this. There's certain things I don't want to politicize, but I'll say it over the last 2 weeks, I go out knocking on doors. The two biggest problems I have are people who say, what's the point of voting in Williamstown? Well, folks, I want to tell you something. 3 months ago, we had a primary. 4,000 Democrats out of a total of 11,000 Democrats registered to vote came out. 4,000. The person who won got 1,800 votes out of 4,000. So he doesn't even have a majority of the votes of the people who came out.
And those people who did not vote for him probably will not vote for him.
Well, I'm certainly hoping that. I mean, in speaking to a lot of them, I've been told lots of things, but you know, Christmas only comes in December. It
Yeah.
doesn't come in, September or November. But here's the concern that I have. We have 4,000 registered Republicans in Monroe. We had 700 of them come out and vote. And the biggest problem I had is 4 of them came out with write-in votes. They didn't vote for me. So it was like, wow. So, but, seriously, when you look at this, you really have to say this. What is it that's going to take you? What has to happen to get you off of your backside, to get you involved? This is your town. We keep on hearing taxes, taxes, taxes. Well, the biggest nonsense that our governor has pulled on us, and half a dozen cities in the state are trying to do it, is say, well, we're going to allow you to write your real estate taxes off as some form of charitable deduction. Newsflash, folks, the IRS came out and said, okay, absolutely no legal authority for you to do this. In fact, if you do this, here's the criteria you have to meet. And about 1/1000th of 1% of the people in New Jersey will meet that criteria. So thank you, Governor Murphy, for either practicing tax evasion, law, or just really giving really crummy advice. And the biggest problem that you have is that no one seems to care. When I ask people, why haven't you voted? And believe me, in Williamstown, I'm very frank. The point just comes down, what's the point? Do you realize that less than 30 years ago, we had an election in Williamstown for mayor in which one vote made the difference? One vote. Now, I have to say this, the Republican candidate won by one vote. Since that time, we've not had an election in which the Republican candidate for mayor has come within about 1,000 votes. What's happened? Okay. You want things to change, it has to change with you. Now, this time we have a real fracture in the Democratic Party. We had 3 candidates. If you listened to the 3 candidates, you would have thought the other 2 people were straight from hell. You would have thought they were the greatest evil since the beginning of time. And yet, what's going to happen? 3 months later, 4 months after the primary, suddenly we've kissed and made up, and now we can embrace the devil? Is that what you're telling me? So what is it, anybody but Republicans? The second point is when I go out and I talk to people and I say, well, who are you? Well, this is your vote. This is the single most important thing that you're going to do this year, short of probably getting married, having a child, or one of those other, key important things in your life. It's your vote. It's going to affect your life. It's going to affect the township's life for at least the next 4 years. And you're not going to take the time to vote? Then folks, you're part of the problem. Okay? You want things to change. How long does it take to stand in line? Let me tell you something. I've been in Williamstown in the voting line, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm the first Republican. Okay, sometimes late at night, you can't help it, you're going to vote. It's 7 o'clock at night now in Williamstown, 12 hours later. And what happens? I'm the 38th Republican to vote. Well, you want things to change, you have to get involved. You're not going to take the time, you're part of the problem. I say that to the same, Democrats as well. I hear plenty of them say, well, I'm tired of this, I've seen this. Folks, you have had 3 candidates. Obviously, not one of them was the majority, not one of them was your favorite, because the person who won with less than 45% of your vote. And even then, it was 1/3 of the total amount of you who could vote. So if this isn't indifference, what is it? We have problems in Williamstown that face every town. We have the COA problems. We have environmental problems. The way that you talk to people, you would think we're the worst town in. Williamstown is actually a wonderfully nice place. Our previous speaker was talking about being a resident of Northeast Philadelphia, Cotman in the Roosevelt Boulevard, Cotman Frankman. So I came to Williamstown, why? Because I couldn't stand all the traffic. Traffic in Williamstown is defined as 2 cars at the stop sign or 2 cars at the red light. I see more deer in the road than I see cars. I actually love the town. It's a great place. It's not Sleepy Hollow. It can be a wonderful place. But mismanagement has caused us basically to have real estate taxes that since I've moved into the house have tripled. Well, what have I gotten? Have I gotten 3 times the amount of service for what I've got? No. Now I realize things go up in value, but how about some new ideas? Here's one of the very first I'd like to address. How about having somebody come in and do a forensic audit? The nature of what I do as a tax attorney, a business attorney, forensic audits are fairly common. Contrary to what everybody tells you, they're not all that expensive. They're done for one reason. They're to root out corruption. They're to root out waste. They're to root out people who are inept, okay? So why do you have one? Why do you spend money? Because if you're going to tell me, well, the best we can do is to keep the tax bill average, or the best we can do is not raise your taxes. Imagine if you were the first, mayor in the last 20, 30 years to say, I actually reduced your tax bill. I didn't reduce services. I just found where there's waste, okay? And look, as long as you gave me the platform.
You're absolutely right. Thank you. You know what? You're absolutely right. It's all about fiscal responsibility and auditing whenever necessary. And when you have a party in power for as long as the Democratic Party has been in power all throughout the district,
There's no incentive.
there's no checks and balances. The checks and balances exist when there's Republicans and Democrats, and when it eliminates the checks and balances.
Well, let me give you an idea of something I've said now. Many of my friends in Monroe are Democrats. Why? Because there's not all that many Republicans there. But having said it, I'm told this is a gimmick. As the mayor of Williamstown, you get paid $12,000 a year. Okay, not an insignificant amount of money. Here's my challenge to everyone. $500 a month for all 12 months, so that's $6,000. I will pay to any employee in Monroe Township who will come up with an idea that saves taxes. If they want to do it anonymously because they're afraid of a repercussion, fine, I'll see that you get your money anyway. The other $6,000 or $500 a month, I will pay, so it's coming out of my salary, not costing the township or the taxpayer a dime. I will pay to any taxpayer who lives in Monroe who comes up with an idea that either betters Monroe, it saves Monroe taxes, it does something to put Monroe on the map. And guess what? I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I already made this challenge to the other party. We'll take the business administrator for the city, and we'll take the head of council, who, by the way, right now is my opponent. We'll take those, and the 3 of us will be the people who judge who it is who gets that award. Here it is, folks. I just stacked the deck against me, 2 to 1, 2 Democrats to 1. It's my money. It's my salary. Why? Because what happens if we save taxes? Somebody comes up with an idea that nobody else ever thought of. Okay, what's that old saying? A rising tide floats all boats. If my real estate taxes go down as a person who lives in Williamstown, what do I need the credit for? I just got a tax savings. That tax savings lasts 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm happy, okay? My neighbors, they're happy, okay? So, plain and simple, if the head of the departments, if the business administrator, if council can't find it, then let's go to the people who actually know how something works, and that's called the employee. Let's go to the basis level and say, okay, folks, you know where the bodies are. You know where the waste is. You know where things can be corrected. You know how to save a dime. Tell me how you do it, and by the way, there's $500 in it for you, okay? You can win as often as you want. I don't care. I mean, it's a lottery system. It's my check. It's like, what difference does it make? But at the end of the day, the question you have to ask is, if someone who works in the township comes up with that idea, or someone who lives in the township thought enough to invest their time, their effort, and their sweat to put that, out there so we could see it, why didn't somebody in council who allegedly represent the people, why didn't the mayor who allegedly represents the people, why didn't they think of this? Okay, this isn't a new idea. According to my Democrat friends, this is a gimmick. According to me, it's the beginning of tax savings. November, you get a chance to make a decision. You want the same old thing? Don't show up to vote.
What do you
Want
got to
change?
lose?
Yeah, what do you have to lose? So, I gotta say, I'm headed on other journeys, but
Thank you,
the answer
Bill.
is thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Bill. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. Great ideas, by the way.
Fantastic.
Phenomenal ideas. And again, the Republican Party is the party of action, and the Republican Party is the party that always thinks out of the box and comes up with viable solutions.